You have something better you can do with all of that time? Fix your body, fix your brain, fix your child.
I think people don't have a real purpose, and so therefore they are searching for pleasure in any way that they can. And so pleasure most often comes in very simple ways: entertainment, sex, drugs, alcohol, whatever the thing is that gives you something now. Hey guys, welcome to the show. This is Love People Enough. Micah. So today I've got Robert Marma with me, Marine Corps vet. We actually met around a year ago at a veteran group meetup. Just kind of randomly started talking outside. We stayed in touch since then. And I put out a video recently saying I was looking for a new co-host. And yeah. And so here he is. Robert, welcome, man, to the show.
Thank you.
Good to
Thanks
have
for
you.
having me. I appreciate it. This is new to me, and conversations are not new to me. I make it a point to be a conversationalist because talking is the first way you can help somebody who's a complete stranger is by talking to them, and that's actually how we met, right? So I'm glad to be here, and I'd like to see how far we can take this, and if we can help people um, talk through things in the world that people seem to be having a hard time talking with each other. So yeah, I'd like to continue this.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I think it's one of the greatest struggles that we have in this society right now is we just don't know how to talk anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I remember hearing about parties, I guess, I think in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. They were like politics parties where people would just come over and they'd have a drink or two and they'd lightly fight each other and battle it out. You know what I mean? And everyone went home friends, and I think
Yeah,
I've never had anything like that. I don't know what that's like. I don't know what a world would be like where you could just talk about important, intense stuff. Because I find most people can't handle it for very long. And I get it. 'Cause important stuff can be stressful, especially if you've not learned like how to, kind of stay safe kind of in your brain as you talk about these things.
yeah. It's the world is different than from the 70s and 80s. Absolutely.
Little better, little worse, probably.
Uh, yeah, both. I would say both.
Hmm.
As we grow as a society, uh, sometimes we actually do learn um, the faults in our past, but uh, sometimes it's slower. It's slower than you would think, especially in this day and age of information.
Oh, yeah.
So
No, it's crazy, right? We live in an age where we have arguably the greatest access to information in the history of time. Yet it's tempting to say we are more misinformed than we've ever been. And there's even such a thing as information overload. And I'll share this example real quick. Something, I remember a while back I was doing, without getting into the stuff at all, but I was doing some research on statistics in war statistics. So combatant to civilian death ratios in all the major wars that have happened in our life. And I wanted to compare that to like the Israel Gaza war and really have an understanding and then kind of break it down from there, right? Like how just is that war being fought without getting into any of that at all right now. And what I can just tell you is AI gave me back terrorist talking points that were completely dishonest. And they had come, and the reason why they were coming was because basically these small non-governmental organizations, the NGOs, they they would go and meet with like local authorities, Hamas officials, and they would then create, they would take the reports, most of them being lies, and then they would say this is a fact now, and there'd be no independent verification. And
yeah,
basically, that report would then get picked up by another big group and another big group. Eventually, it gets cited as facts in the United Nations. And so when I ask for statistics, I'm given absolute lies, the most dishonest stuff you've ever seen in your life that you can actually trace back to terrorists. So yeah, the world of the information age is a tough one, buddy.
yeah. I can see that. There's one one stream, one little trickle of information coming from a dangerous place that you or I aren't going to anytime soon, or
Hmm.
99.99% of America isn't going to anytime soon. um, and you don't know who's truly behind that information and the validity of it. And it is scary because anybody who's just trying to gain viewership will pass this information on as great news without actually knowing how true it is, and
Especially when it
it's
comes from the
sad.
United Nations, right? United Nations is saying, we're the United Nations, right? If anybody's telling you the truth, it's probably us. You don't hear, I don't hear my mom and dad's, or grandparents talk about things like how dishonest the United Nations is. You don't hear things like that. They're like, oh, it's the United Nations. There's probably some legitimacy to it. You
Yeah,
never know. You don't, wouldn't, you'd be shocked. They'd be shocked to realize it came from terrorism, from actual terrorist mouths
yeah.
originally. And
That's
now we don't know who's the good guys anymore. Oh, that's great. you know?
that's why sometimes blind faith can lead you the wrong way. I mean,
Mm,
we're humans. We need to think and research on our own. Um, sure, that we have now AI that can get us information really quick, and there's fear that AI is going to make humankind less intelligent because it helps to remove the critical thinking skills.
mm,
Um, it comes down to our information has made us not information. Our technology has made us a little lazy,
mm,
and you need to put in the work in order to actually learn things and get the accurate information. But people don't care about true information anymore. They care about just getting some kind of information that satisfies that itch that they need to maybe even be a part of this conversation,
mm.
or at least feel like they're part of the world.
Mhm.
But they're not thinking enough for themselves. They're just
Yeah, agreed. Yeah,
getting what
and
they can from whatever sources
mhm,
sometimes is right in front of them. Like, oh, here's this free terrible information, and because it popped up on my Facebook or because it popped up, Twitter, or Instagram, whatever people are using, that's the first thing they go to.
mhm.
Kind of like the first impression is the most important one.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's the first impression
People
on
don't read
information is
corrections.
also
Yep.
lasting imprint.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, no, great words. All right, so, tell me a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind, Robert. Who are you? Who are you in the military? Who are you outside of the military?
so I was finding myself still when I was in the military. I joined the Marine
Mm,
Corps while I was still in high school. Uh, really high potential, physically, extremely physically fit, could do anything the Marine Corps required of me. Uh, Intelligently fit, anything the Marine Corps would require of me. Um, I joined the Marine Corps and took everything that they needed. I fractured my hip in training, continued. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for young people who don't have a mind of their own very much yet. And if they need to be broken down physically or mentally, they do it.
mm,
Um, I managed to, figure myself out while in the Marine Corps. Also realized that certain branches, certain jobs you do, just because you fit into it doesn't mean it fits you. And I
sure.
learned that while I was in the Marine Corps. That's something I learned.
Mhm,
But yeah, I was a helicopter mechanic, capable of doing many things throughout the aviation field in the Marine Corps that the Marine Corps required me to do. Got my TSSCI. Did did mechanic work at the Presidential Helicopter Squadron on Quantico,
cool.
and then when I got out, which I wanted to stay in, I couldn't.
Mm,
It required a lat move, and every
mm.
package I sent up, they said it's been filled. So
Ah,
I got a
rough.
job uh, doing security in the same building.
Hmm,
Stayed there for 5 years. Became a government worker, GS, and
mm,
I was quite unhappy.
mm.
Uh, Sometimes working for the government in the same setting as you did as military personnel, it becomes less glorious than
Mm,
than coming from outside. So I left there. started working in the roofing industry, inspections and whatnot. I do handiwork and inspections now, but yeah, I learned what emotionally stunted young adults uh, look like in the Marine Corps.
Mhm.
So that opened the door for me to be able to talk to people. And I'm not saying anybody I talk to is emotionally stunted, but they may be and likely are in some way. And
Some of them definitely are.
they uh, they only see things the way their parents saw things or
Mm,
whoever brought them up. So
mm,
I started um, being the opposition to a one track mind ever since I was in the Marine Corps because it seems like everybody has a one track mind. You got to get the mission done, yeah, but there might be better ways to
mhm.
get that mission done, and I that's something I biggest thing I took away in the Marine Corps is the direct approach isn't always the best approach.
Yeah, think outside the box. That's what we would call that. That's the phrase we used.
Hmm.
Think outside the box. Yeah, just because you know the end goal, it doesn't mean you know how you're going to get there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
Um,
what made you join the military? And how old were you? What year?
I was 17 when I signed the paperwork and joined the debt program, delayed entry program, which
Mm,
removes a year from your end of your inactive reserve time.
hmm,
Um,
that's interesting.
yeah, but I joined at 17. Started training to go to boot camp. Um, I my 19th birthday was in boot camp. I joined just because nonchalantly, uh, my older brother, who always um, he was always quite envious of the strong male figure.
Mm,
I got into weightlifting because of him. We used to
mm,
watch wrestling together,
mm,
um, and war movies and such. He was always like, "Oh yeah, it would be so awesome to join the Marine Corps, and just be a badass." So that started it,
mm,
and then one of my good friends in high school and I, we every lunch we just talk about joining the Marine Corps and
mm,
what it could do for us. Um, so I got my best friend to um, agree to sign the paperwork together, and we go together.
that's
He flunked
huge.
out. He never even
Oh
made it. He
no!
never even made it. But
Oh, it hurts.
I continued on. That's
Mm,
where I come from is a place of hardship
mm,
early on in my life. So no situation was um, insurmountable for me. So I was like, you
mm.
know what, boot camp's good, easy. Marine Corps
Mm.
is easy, blah blah blah. And you just keep moving on. Nothing is too hard. You just got to do it, and you'll get through it.
And you say
Um,
that comes from your past, your upbringing?
yeah, I my upbringing kind of put me in that mindset because I came from
Mm,
a really hard place to grow up in, and that's why I got into the Marine Corps. See these 19-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds acting like a bunch of children, can't
mm,
compose themselves as what I always thought should be men. Um, and I wound up distancing myself from those people because I already knew they were on a track that I didn't want to be.
mm,
Uh, so I kept my head down and I did what I thought was best for my future while I was in the Marine Corps.
mm,
But I joined the Marine Corps specifically because um, all research pointed to the best training. And I figured if
mhm,
I was going to join the military, I want
mhm,
the training of somebody in the military. Um, so that was why I joined the Marine Corps uh, because I wanted good training. And, you know, I had zero guidance coming into
mm,
adulthood on where I could be, where I should be. I had a relatively hands off upbringing. So I had to learn everything myself, and I learned everything really early.
mm,
Um, so that was why I did the Marine Corps. Aviation was guidance by my uncle. He had a Corvette, and he's like, "Oh, go work on jets. You'll be able to help me fix my Corvette anytime I. So I was like, all right, I'll join aviation.
Uh,
Jets weren't an option during the time I was going through training.
hmm,
I picked the CH-46, which is a badass helicopter, to keep me on the East Coast um, for family reasons. Uh,
hmm,
I needed to retain whatever family I had it, available. So I stayed on the East Coast for training. Graduated towards the top of my class. I got to pick. They say, oh, pick the number one spot, the number two spot, number three spot you'd like to get stationed.
hmm.
I, I picked I want to stay on the East Coast. I went to Okinawa with the rest of the guys who I graduated with. Didn't matter who. Didn't matter what tier of training you accomplished.
Yeah,
Um, we all went to Okinawa.
so
Um,
funny.
unfortunately, unfortunately for me, I was still recovering from that hip fracture in
Hmm,
training, so I was delayed for quite a few months while the rest of my brothers in arms, if you will, went to Okinawa and got a head start on their careers
hmm,
ahead of me. So I got there and I was the noob. And anyways, so that's how I got into aviation in the Marine Corps.
hmm.
Um, looking back, though, seeing all other people from other walks of life coming from other branches, uh, I realized that the Marine Corps wasn't the fit for me. I may
Hmm.
have fit it, but it didn't serve me um, the way I had hoped it would have. And
Sure.
that's not obviously we don't join the services to gain service, but everybody has the reasons for joining. And when you realize that um, it is significantly less glorious because of the age group and mentality of that age group, you start to wish you
Hmm.
went to a more responsible branch,
That's
like
interesting.
the Air
Yeah.
Force or
Huh.
or something. A branch that uh, you would think that the people that are very obviously a higher mentality above the rest would be able to gain um, something over the rest because they've proven themselves that they can
Hmm,
handle this. But
hmm.
in the Marine Corps, you're the same as every other turd. You might be a shinier turd, but you're still a turd. Like so you
Dang.
just you get treated, you get flushed down that toilet like that shiny turd. So
Dang.
that's just what it is.
Well, I guess I guess I'll match some of that, I guess, and kind of bring us to where you are. It's funny because growing up, whenever I decided I wanted to go military, my best friend at the time, Zephyr, I'd kind of at least I had assumed I had talked him into coming with me. Same
Uh,
thing. Right before it was time, he's like, "Nope, not a chance. That's not happening." Yep, I went on by myself. Yeah, it was. It's funny because I always wonder what he would say all these years later if he had ever had any real intention of coming, or if he was just like blowing smoke up my butt the whole time.
huh.
But I know what you mean about it not being a great fit. I was chosen during I had one of those my recruiter screwed me stories. I grew up on a small 7 by 3 mile island called Block Island. It's a little hippie island. It's a resort town.
I know Black
In the
Island.
wintertime, it's desolation, and in the summertime, it's magic. It's the greatest place on earth you could ever be. And with all that time on your hands, you'll go 8 9 months of, like I said, near desolation out there, isolation. People either get into drugs or alcohol or some version of that. It's just standard, especially as children. You know, and yeah, so kind of at a young age, I kind of got into all that stuff pretty heavily, and mostly just marijuana, just in general, but just standard stuff. Like I said, hippie island. And I remember I was sitting down with Dwight as my recruiter. Dwight, I still remember his first name because I'm still cursing him in my nightmares at night. And I asked him the question. I said, how do I answer the question on? I think that was the SF-86. That question of, have you ever done drugs in your life? And if so, when was the last time and how often? And so here I am. I wanted to do the only thing I'd ever really wanted to do besides psychology, which was military intelligence. I'm a deep thinker. I always have been. And I knew this was my thing, right? It put me to good use kind of thing. So I remember I got a 91 on my ASVAB. I remember the guy shook my hand. He was like, son, you can do anything you want in the military. What do you want to do? Military intelligence, sir. And he's thrilled. He's great, And so there I am filling out the SF-86 with Dwight, my recruiter. And I said, Dwight, what do I do? And he said, just right there. You did it one time at your high school graduation. You'll be fine. Disqualified me from every single position in the military except for petroleum specialist. That's a gas station attendant, truck driver, and I don't know, something else horrible. I can't remember the third one, but it was horrible. I probably blanked it out. So that's how I ended up in, it was infantry. Oh, yeah, thank you. The other option was infantry. That's right. That's what I ended up doing in the military. I went infantry because you heard the other two options. So, dude, I was not all that physical as a kid, and as a teenager. I had no business going in infantry, okay? I was meant to, help guide the infantry, make the plans, right? I'm the strategist. I'm an architect, right? I see patterns. I wasn't the guy meant to hold the M4 on the front lines. And so I know what you mean about things not really matching you. And then, so here I am in basic training, and I don't know how it went, but the 173rd Airborne Brigade in Vicenza, Italy, they had done this program. So they had this problem. So to get into recon, which is what that is, basically they'd have tryouts I think every other year or something like that. And you'd have all the best guys from all the infantry units come, right? And the best of the best, they made it, and they became part of the 173rd and the 74th LRSD recon. And so the problem that they had, though, is because they were taking these super soldier guys from the infantry units, and they were so good at what they did, it was hard to retrain them. And so they decided to try this pilot program of picking people straight from basic training to try to see if they could train them from the ground up to kind of, like you said at the beginning of this, or it was before we started recording, thinking outside the box concept, right? And so I don't know how. I tell you, back in the day, I had a chiseled jaw. This beard hides it all, but I look like a super soldier. And so I was one of the people who got picked up. And so I got put into an elite infantry unit, right? I was like, I don't necessarily need to be here. This is great and all, but I don't know if this is the place for me, And I can tell you, while I loved my time there, it was not the place for me, at all. Again, I'm a strategist. I'm a deep thinker. I was meant to be behind the scenes. And so I just want to say I can relate to a lot of what you've shared so far, essentially.
Yeah.
Now, the reason and why I joined is very different than yours. For me, Gish, I still remember it. It stands out to me. I remember waking up one morning and looking at myself in the mirror. And I remember saying to myself, you are a bad boyfriend. You're a bad brother. You are a bad son. You're a bad friend. I remember looking at myself and saying, I'm not someone I respect, and something has to change. And my little sister Bethany had just signed up for the military. And so I thought, you know what? I'm not someone that I respect in any way when I look at myself. And it's time for me to go rewrite it all, if you will, And so that was kind of the thing. For me, it wasn't the need to be great or to want some version of that, which was awesome, which is an awesome concept. It was, I was broken. And for me, I know I needed something else to help reshape me. And for all my struggles, like I said, infantry was no joke, man. It was some tough stuff. I had a lot of struggles there. I will say it was harder to, a lot of it has made me the man that I am now. I'm still highly flawed, but the things I understand, you've walked through a fallen civilization, the rubble, right, of the remains of someone's life. When you have to stop in the middle of a field because you realize it's a minefield, right? Because of, the horrible, atrocious war that happened before. But it's like it's hard to understand the stakes of the world, if you will. I think us Americans, we're so concerned about our home and our four walls and maybe as far as our fence, but we just want simple lives. We just want to be healthy and wealthy and have meaningful lives. And if you've not experienced darkness in your life, true darkness, if you've not seen true evil, it's really hard to understand the stakes of the world. And I think, kind of like Israel, if it were up to me, I would make military service mandatory for every child in America, so they have some understanding what they're actually fighting for. And I'd also deploy them to the Middle East. Let's be real; they'd be going side by side with Israel constantly, so they can get real experience fighting real evil. And
I agree
you
with
know,
that. Uh, Even if it's not to see what evil is,
mm,
there is so much to experience being in the military, um, that will help you realize where you do and don't want to be.
mm,
Um, to include, gaining skills to get to places. You get even if it's not walking through the rubble, which can really, um, it can really change somebody's perspective. Not everybody is built to handle that kind of thing,
true.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Um, they, which is why we see PTSD cases in so many different aspects of not only military but just traumatic events. Um, one thing that can hurt somebody mentally might not hurt another person mentally, but I do agree with, at the very least, military service. If you can handle doing what you've had to um, handle, uh, it would give some good perspective instead of everybody nowadays who's uh, so unhappy with traffic that they have to take people's lives or endanger their children's lives because of traffic.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to get to this place 5 minutes earlier or what have you. Like it's meanwhile you had to go through and witness people's lives, if they're even alive anymore, um, in shambles. Like they have
Mm,
nothing left. They have nothing left, and we have people here in this country who get so distraught um, over a restaurant running out of food, that they wanted, or again, you got the road rage. There was an incident where this man, this is graphic. He
mm.
in a some incident of rage killed his baby mama
Oh,
while she was driving, and she crashed with his two young children in the back seat. He shot her while she was driving, and then took his life.
oh, it's devastating.
Um,
Mm,
so, these if people can realize how bad things are elsewhere, it
mm.
might help to ground them on how great things still are here.
That's
Um,
huge right there. I
and
agree with that 1,000%.
and you can't improve on something you don't know is a problem, is broken. You got to know something is broken, something's wrong.
Mhm.
Um, so everybody around here is just driving around blissfully unaware until that one thing that makes them not be able to handle the great life we all have.
Mm,
Um, so I think military service, at least one enlistment, I think it can fix so much, so much.
yeah.
Of course, they get paid like we all did, like they get paid the same amount, um, but it would allow these young adults to gain some real world experience, some real world perspective before they become a 30-year-old adult who, uh, all they do is play video games and imbibe in whatever their heart's desire, and then flip out and do something terrible
Mm.
because they don't understand that there is still worse.
So a little bit about our backgrounds in general, kind of some military experience. Go a little deeper, I guess. What do you actually believe in? What's your core stuff? What matters
Um,
to you?
People actually matter to me.
Hmm.
I believe in people. I don't subscribe to a religion. I'm fascinated by all
Hmm.
religions and will listen and respect all religions as well. Um,
What if the religion is the religion of the fire god, where they sacrifice the first and third born of every family? Do you still respect that religion?
um, I have to.
Hmm.
It's the nature of respect. You don't get to choose what is respectable when you don't actually truly know where it came from, or how people actually practice. Maybe that's an ancient thing, and
Oh, it is. It's an ancient
now
thing in the fire god. Yeah, they sacrifice their first and third child. It's ancient. There's rituals involved. They've got books dedicated to it.
Mhm.
So let's keep going. Keep going. If you're,
There was probably a reason for it.
oh, there
My
was because the rain god was a problem at the time. Go ahead, keep going. Yeah, and since they've been sacrificing the rain god all this time, usually he's decent. So as far as they're concerned, it's still working. Continue.
I don't have to respect it by in the regard that I believe it's good or bad. Um,
Would you
uh,
say respect is still the right word you'd use?
um,
Mm.
Perhaps not. I will respect the person who believes in whatever this is, until they give me a reason not to. Until they actually sacrifice that third or fifth child. You know what I'm saying? Then that's when they lose respect for me. It has nothing to do with whatever their religion requires them to do. It's what they actually do. You understand? That's
Mm.
that's how you lose respect. Um, I
So if they
I
act
try to
on
go into
immoral things, for
yeah.
example.
And which morals they were widespread due to
Mm.
religions. So that religion may have a lot of immoral things, but let's look at what the moral things are. Can you respect those? You understand? Like
Well, those are
not
easy,
every
right?
religion would be
Yeah.
perfect. Now, would
If
it?
there's like 13 commandments, 12 of them are pretty solid, and third one is, rape and murder your own children. We can
Well,
get behind the respecting the first 12 pretty easy. That's the
so
easy part. I'm just
so most societies nowadays
saying.
are are not so archaic. Now, maybe there are some that I don't know of.
Oh, there are.
But if
Done a
somebody
lot of
comes to me,
research.
if somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, I just left this religion um, because of this," I would still respect that person, even though they may have had to perform some terrible things. Because um, ultimately, it comes down to the individual who has the brain. They're
Mm.
not just blindly following. Like I said, uh, blind faith can be dangerous. And
Well, be tempted to say blind faith is also known as faith.
uh, well, no, because blind faith means you haven't had the experience in what could
Mm.
or couldn't happen. Whereas faith, you learn to be faithful, because when you're faithful to others or whatever, you're expecting that faith back. Uh, so people are faithful to their religion because they believe that they're going to gain whatever there is to gain from that faith. Faith really means belief, right?
Mm.
But blind belief, um, again, it's done some really great things, but it's also done really terrible things. It's a it's
Mm.
a it's a it's a powerful thing, and I still believe it comes down to an individual who has the brain, um, the capacity to understand what is good and what is bad. Um, and ultimately, if you look to do good for others, um, you wind up making good patterns and good faith and all
Mm.
this and that.
Good imprint on the world.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Religions, by most part, that's what they do. I don't know of this fire god, religion, but I do
I
believe that
invented
there
him.
there
Yeah.
have been others that are somewhat similar. Um,
Yeah.
Religion is meant to give people a purpose, you said you were trying to find purpose.
Is
Um,
it? Is that what it's meant for?
mhm. It's
Well,
a
in this
it's
day and age, that's what it's meant for. Was that what it was meant for when it was created, though? I feel like that's pretty arguable.
what it No, I do when you name a religion. The religion itself had a purpose. Sometimes it was for teaching.
Well, sure. I
Sometimes it
mean, I
was
suppose
for
to control the
ruling.
masses.
Yep,
Probably a
ruling,
yeah, yeah,
for
ruling. Yeah.
ruling. I mean,
Well, sure. I guess there's always a purpose. Yeah. Okay. That's
uh,
fair.
uh, without controlling animals, because our brains are significantly um, more crammed with information and wrongs and rights nowadays than thousands of years ago when the first religions were coming up. Um, so it took somebody saying, "Hey, you animal, don't go bashing that female over the head with a club, you know,
Hmm.
maybe give her a flower. She might come join you anyways."
Mm. And did you say you are not religious? Is that what you said?
I am not.
Not religious, or
I would say agnostic, like without seeing um something or personally experiencing it. And I've experienced quite a few things, in life.
mm,
I can't say I believe in a greater power, but what
mm,
I do believe is the greatest power at our disposal is each other. It's
mm.
each other, you know. I expect anybody that I keep within my circle. We only have so much time
Oh
and
yeah.
bandwidth
Mm,
for our circles. The people that I keep in my circle, I am to be used for you know for their progress, to help them along in this world. And I believe you're that person too.
oh
You
yeah.
could be here to
Totally.
help me along right now. That could be a part of this. I believe that. I believe that you've helped other people along, in your life, um, to include your time and service. But
Mhm.
we should all be giving more than we take. And
Mm.
in this age where it's so easy to gain things, to get things, we don't have to walk 10 miles to trade our cow for 10 shillings or whatever, just pick
Yeah.
some obscure thing. It's too easy nowadays to find something that makes us happy. um it really is. And I think the more we gave of ourselves to each other, um the less unhappiness there would be. We wouldn't be filling whatever void we may be feeling,
Mm.
because we have, the people that we trust and can rely on. And you need information, they'll willingly give you that information, or they'll willingly give you their time.
Mhm.
um, the more we give to each other, the more we'll get back eventually in the
I agree.
in the end. Now I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
saying go out,
Mhm.
give your paychecks to the guy who's probably making $50,000 a year sitting at the street light over there. What I'm saying is, you open up conversation on what people actually need or are looking for in life. You might have it sitting in your garage that you haven't, and I'm not, that's a tangible thing, of course, but sometimes it's
Mm,
just what's I'm hearing. Um, and everybody, they're too focused on what they can get. How can they get it? How quickly can they get it? And
mm.
what about tomorrow? What can I get tomorrow? Instead of sitting down and having a conversation with somebody. Um, you know,
Yeah, you made me think of something with my sister a couple weeks ago. Um, we were helping her move. I've got a son, he's a teenager, and I've got a 22-year-old who I love like a child. Ivan. Ivan and I were helping my sister's move, and there was this one point where we were moving one big heavy thing from one place to another, and I remember my sister said, I need you guys to take this and just bring it down to that area. It's the last thing I'll ask you. I won't ask you for another thing." And I looked at her and I said, "You realize you don't have to have limits. It doesn't have to cost you so much to ask. I'll move 10 more things for you.
Mhm.
I'm here for as long as you need me." You know, it's fascinating how much it costs us sometimes to ask for help, even the minor things. It's almost like another side of the kind of thing that you're talking about. Um, it can sometimes feel like even just the slightest bit of help is too much from someone. I feel like that sometimes. That's actually something I struggle with, Robert.
You feel
You
like you
know,
burden?
yeah, like if like for example, I've had a lot of some struggles with addiction in my life. I've had some friends, still have some friends now, struggle with it greatly. When they're in a binger and they're in terrible place, I'll pick up my keys, I'll drive over to their car, I'll pick them up from their house and I'll bring them back to mine, and then I'll stay with them while they get better. I don't, the thought of someone doing something like that for me fills me with so much almost dread. Like I couldn't imagine someone doing those things for me. I don't have any in my life who really would, probably, maybe except for family, but uh, yeah, so it's a tricky thing, on that kind of stuff. Just another thought, different
Yeah.
side of the coin, if you will.
I could
But,
the way I overcome the anxiety that comes
mm,
from feeling like a burden, to others, I just keep doing more for others instead. So by the time it it comes, because it comes for everybody, you need help. It'll happen.
mm,
Um, you feel like I feel like I've earned it at that point.
mm,
I've given everything, even when I needed help, I didn't take it. I just, persevered. Um,
mhm,
there may come a point where even though you feel like a burden, um, it has to happen. So if you give more of yourself to those around you, even the strangers, you do just whatever you do, try to improve something, that situation. You walk in a park. It's kind of like a karma type deal, like
mm,
you keep putting out that good energy. Um, it is not as much of negative energy when you actually need to take, when you need that help, whether it be
mm,
financially, physically, emotionally. Um, there there are different types of ways that people need help. The
absolutely.
thing
Yeah.
is a lot of people are just keeping, oh, I'm getting help, I'm getting help, I'm getting help, and they stop helping themselves.
Mm,
Therefore, they ain't helping nobody else either. If you can't help
mm.
yourself, you don't belong helping other people.
Yeah, I
And
don't
that's
know.
if you
That
can't
was
help.
tricky,
That's if
you
you can't
know.
help yourself. You
Yeah, I
should
mean,
you should do for yourself. Get yourself in a spot to help others because if you
that's the ideal, right? Ideally, right, you wanna put yourself in a good place because the best version of you, right, is that you're the most capable version of helping
Mhm.
others.
You don't want to run
Ideally,
yourself
yeah.
into the
Yeah, yeah,
ground.
yeah. But I know there's that concept of, right, people take better care of their dogs than they do themselves. I think that's a common thing. Doesn't necessarily mean it's right, but it's something I think a lot of people struggle with, and I think for a lot of probably good reasons, feelings of self-worth, value, having good, healthy groups that you're a part of that, help you understand who you are, what you've done, what you've accomplished, or remind you of those things on a regular basis.
Mhm. And
Um,
that's conversation.
oh yeah.
Conversation is powerful.
Oh, I mean, I think for me, I've got something I call my three pillars. I think those are for me my life so far has led me to the answers that this is what I need for physical and mental success. My three pillars have to be in good, healthy shape at all times. So my first pillar is called structure and growth, essentially. Getting a good night's sleep, right? Making sure you're exercising, eating decently, making time for things like learning, reading, things along those lines. Making sure that you have time to do the things that you want to do. More structure actually gives you more freedom, surprisingly. The
Uh-huh.
second pillar is community, right? Being a valued member of a healthy group that challenges you and helps you grow. Um, the community is essential. It is such an important piece and something a lot of people just don't have. I don't have a great community myself. Do you have people in your life that that when something good happens, you want to share it with them? Okay. When something bad happens, you want some support from them, and everything in between. People who just, do you have people in life you call up and just say, "Hey, how you doing, bud? I just want to see how you doing," right? And vice versa. Do they help you grow? Right? Being in a healthy group, being a valued member in a healthy group that challenges you is so important. But the group has to be healthy, right? What I've seen now, the community piece is probably the one piece poisoning us. People's community is their really unhealthy friend group or their political party that doesn't even vaguely, match up to any value they claim to hold anymore, and it warps them essentially.
Uh-huh.
But community is essential, and the third piece is purpose, purpose and meaning. So community and connection is my full, second pillar name, and then purpose and meaning, essential. So your structure is what gets you up every day, keeps you on a good, healthy path. Your community, right, it keeps you involved and valuable members, and then purpose is what you're doing with your life.
Uh-huh.
What truly matters to you? Are you following that or some version? What I find is that a lot of people who have weak values, they don't have any purpose, essentially, that they seem to go hand in hand. Nothing truly matters in any real way. And I think it's something important that all of us do is we take a few, steps back and we say, "Hey, what do I really care about?" I have this conversation with people quite a lot and they say, "I don't know what to do with myself."
Yeah.
And I say, "What do you really love? What truly matters to you?" And then someone will say something like, "Oh, family." I said, "That's great. Okay. So what does that mean? You want to protect them. You want to guide them. You want to make sure they have good opportunities in this world. You want to make sure people don't attack them or hurt them." When you start thinking about, okay, I value my family above all. What does that really mean? And okay, and then we break that down a little bit more, and then we say, okay, how do I help people achieve that stuff? Maybe I have two young kids, and family is my purpose. Okay, well, what's the school board look like? Are people looking out for your children? Are you live in a state where your governor is making things really difficult for your children for some reason? It's through your purpose, and if you break it down and talk it through, you can start to understand how you get involved and along the lines of that. And that's what brings you the true meaning in your life.
Uh-huh.
And so all together, those are the things I think that for me will, help me stay healthy. And as soon as I can figure out how to actually get them all going, as perfectly as I need to, help actually flesh them out. That'll help me a lot, especially
Yeah.
community. Community is my most difficult piece. I have a very difficult time connecting, um, not because I'm not expressive. I'm very expressive, but there's just so many broken people, Robert. And I don't mean broken in some. I'm fairly broken. You can be broken. I mean, like your logic doesn't work. the elevator in your brain doesn't go to the top. You can see 1 and 1, and you can't under any circumstances get to 2 unless your side told you it was, right? And it gets harder. It's easy to start feeling very alone in the world when you look at our political parties, you look at our families, the amount of friends and families that I've lost over the last couple of years due to politics. It's not politics. It's because they're barely human anymore. The things they value are so, like, they offend me to the core. You'll side with terrorists and justify it all day long. You'll claim to fight racism, but you'll willingly inflict it upon someone with the opposite skin color because they quote unquote had it good for a long time. Like, it's sickening. And you talk about for me, it becomes very difficult for me to keep that community piece going. And so the show for me has always been an opportunity for me. And I'm hoping with your addition and if this goes well, that we can start pulling more people in and just having more conversations. Because I
Yeah,
find I'm the healthiest when I talk and when I talk through the things I believe in, right? So that I can figure out how true they are, things along those lines. Yeah, that's what I got.
yeah, no. I agree with your pillars. I would add that um, sometimes you need a goal as well. It's
Well, the goal is built into purpose.
well, yeah, yeah. So, well,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what I'm
hand in
saying. Like,
hand. Yeah, yeah.
a lot of people, they're just floating around like jellyfish. They don't have goals.
Most,
They don't have
most
goals.
many of them have goals. They don't have a purpose that goes with it.
Yeah.
You have no purpose. It's like the guiding light of
Well,
your
well,
life.
sure. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mentor some guys a little younger than I
Mm,
that I trained to do what I was doing before I fell. And
mm,
one of them is no longer with that company. One was the first guy I ever trained. Another is the last guy I ever trained. And there's a few things, but few of these young guys, they're all about 30, and
yeah.
um, they they're all good people in their respects,
Mm,
but they all also lack a lot of guidance. Like
mm,
the elders, the people our age and older, um, who know how to navigate this life a little better outside of um, social media. Uh, they don't have the guidance. They don't have what they're looking for. Now they may have a
mm,
goal set in mind, but they haven't been taught how to execute. I feel like you shouldn't have to be taught sacrifice. You don't have to be happy all the time. You
mhm,
do not have to be happy all the time. And by that I mean I don't think you should be miserable. I mean you should not you do you should not be looking for a hit of dopamine in
mhm.
every aspect of life. Sometimes.
Man, it's an easy trap to fall into.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I have an ADHD brain, so my
Mm,
hit of dopamine is just progression. Progression. I
mm,
haven't stopped doing projects my entire life. I'm always doing something
mm,
to improve my house, improve where I am. Walking in the park, I pick up trash. You know what I'm saying? People don't understand that just because you have a goal doesn't mean you're going to get there. You actually have to work towards that goal. And a lot of people don't understand what that entails because all they know is they're also entitled to the pursuit of happiness, which means,
mm,
you better find a way to be happy every day. Again, I don't mean to say that you shouldn't be happy every day. And I don't mean to say
mhm,
that you should be miserable every day. What I mean to say
mhm,
is it's okay to avoid that thing that makes you happy right now for later. Um,
mm,
and these guys, they want to be able to retire. They want to do this. They're 30 years old, and usually it's financial stuff. It's not always financial stuff, but usually it is. They're like, they're just looking at things from one perspective because they don't have the conversation. Yeah, they don't have the conversation about other perspectives. Oh yeah, oh yeah. That is. I mean, of course, when you live the lifestyle we get to here in America, the smallest inconvenience, gets blown out of proportion. People, an inconvenience is like is like taking somebody's child nowadays. Like, uh, how dare you cut me off? Yeah, sure, don't cut people off, but come on, just he's one car length ahead of you now. Ooh, or I don't want to take this cart back to the cart return. I'll just leave it here. Somebody else is going to get paid to do it anyways. Yeah, well, motherfucker, of course they're getting paid to do it because people like you are leaving your trash around, like it's ridiculous.
Your thoughts on the country right now. I definitely want to go into this a lot deeper in one of our future episodes, as there's so much happening right now in the country. I really do want to get into some specifics, but just in general, what are your thoughts right now?
I think there are too many people that are ignorant to problems in their own immediate lives that are they like to focus on things and topics that happen in the country, and take fault or praise things, and they really don't even truly have a handle on what's going on in their own lives.
Mm,
And I think then they progress an agenda of somebody else, without even taking a step back and really thinking about what their purpose is,
mm,
what their morals are, what their goals are, um, and realizing where they're at in those goals. And basically, I feel like too many people are focusing on misinformation about
mm,
what happens in our country, um, because they don't have the time to get correct information um, on the country and in their everyday aspects of life.
mm,
Somebody wants to talk about somebody making a bad decision. Somebody in the government making a bad decision to do something, and these people are still making the same damn bad decisions every day without
mm,
trying to make things better own in their own something that they can control. So a
mm,
lot of people will sit back and think, "Oh, I voted for this guy. He's going to make everything better for me. He's going to make
mm,
everything better for me." And they just wait. They don't try to make anything better for themselves until then. Um,
mm,
and I think it gets the country in a really bad place because uh, you shouldn't set goals for your political party before you have goals for your country. Your house, your family.
mm,
You got to start somewhere smaller.
mm,
And then a lot of people, they dedicate their time to these things without even realizing how distant they are from what should be mattering in their everyday life first.
mm,
And I do think that causes problems in our country because, you know, um, then these same people, they regret what happens. And
mm,
now I'm not saying that, you know, politicians are politicians. They very often will say one thing and do another anyways, or they'll flip
mm,
flop. Um, but our country can easily be fixed by starting small in the individual households that raise these children that become politicians and vote. Um, so, I don't like where the country is.
mm,
Um, I think it could easily be said that no one has ever, not maybe not ever. Um, there are a few golden years in our country's history,
mm,
uh, but those golden years didn't have the modern trials and tribulations. Those
mm,
golden years rather don't have the modern trials and tribulations that we do today, that
Mm.
are facing everyday families. And from what I'm seeing is our everyday families are, they want the idealistic, traditional uh, things, but that's not our culture anymore. And they don't do anything to mitigate the changes outside of our households
Mm.
to make things better. Um, they want their everyday happiness. That's what they want.
Mm.
So they get their everyday happiness, and it could be, you name it, TV. We severely limit TV in our household because
Mm. It's a good thing.
with those hours and hours, apparently the average American watches like 3.5 to 4.5 hours of TV a day, which is to me disgusting. Like, that's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, I watch way
You,
too
you
much myself.
do
But
you
yeah.
have do you have something better you can do with all of that time?
Mm.
Anything. Fix your body, fix your brain, fix your child, like
Yeah, sure, sure.
I mean,
Well, it's a tricky thing, right? There's so much that goes on. Why is someone sitting in front of the TV for 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day, right?
because our
There's so
society
much that
says it's
goes in.
okay.
I mean, maybe. I mean, yeah, sure.
Our
But I
culture
think
has bred it into it.
what I what I would say is I think in a scenario like that, there's a lot of reasons to that. It could be a lack of purpose, not understanding the concept, not having one yourself. I think that is actually the main reason. That's actually the main reason, I think. I think people don't have a real purpose, and so therefore they are searching for pleasure in any way that they can. And so pleasure most often comes in very simple ways: entertainment, sex, drugs, alcohol, whatever the thing is that gives you something now. Um, yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons why some of that stuff goes on. To include, I can tell you from me, right? I play too many video games. I always have since I was a child, and there's actually two sides to the same coin. I love a good game. I love it. I absolutely love a good game.
Gaming
But
headset.
yeah, exactly. And there's a bad side too, though. It's also how I disassociate from the world that I don't know how to make peace with. And so for me, when I go into my video game and I grab my little sword and I got my little shield, right, and I'm charging up the mountain all by myself to kill the bad guys, no one can harm me in any other way but the expected ways. Maybe something weird about it, but there's like for me, I am where I'm meant to be. Everything's okay. I don't have a world. What do they call them? What do they call them? Open loops. The world of endless open loops of problems that are so destroying to your inner psyche, if you will, and you have no way to fix them. It's like you can put all those on a shelf for a while and you can go to a place where everything is fixable. You're going to kill that boss. I don't care if you're going to resurrect 50 times. That sucker's going down. You're going to mount his head on your wall. You're going to be, you hold his sword after you're done. You're going to slay the next enemies. In the real world is like, you talk to your family and your friends about the monster you want to slay, and they looked at you and you're like, oh, crap. You don't even know if you're the good guy anymore.
Yeah.
you know?
Well, you have to personify the monsters in real life.
Oh, yeah.
Debt, like substance abuse, a child failing in school. That is not the child's fault.
Mm.
It's your fault.
Damn
You
right.
know,
I know it.
the there are things you can do. Now, I'm not saying cut out these things entirely. TV, video games, whatever. They are more detrimental to a young brain than somebody our age.
Which is still not great for someone our age as well. And
Too
sorry to
much of
cut
it.
you
Too
off.
much of it.
Oh yeah.
Is
And also say the lack of having the three pillars, especially the community piece. Nope, I take it back. The lack of all three pillars equal weight. I find when I don't have those three pillars in a decent place, I'm spending most of my day isolating, doing stuff that I shouldn't do, waste of my time.
You need to
Yeah,
set
all those
limits,
things. Yeah.
limits and goals. I used to play video games a lot,
Mm,
and as my daughter started to walk and talk,
mm,
I told myself these. I mean, I still play my phone game. It's a 2-3 minute matches whenever I can find time.
yeah.
Um, my daughter is my video game avatar. Like my goal in life always was to raise a family in a better situation than I came from in all aspects I
Mm,
can possibly improve on.
sure.
And I'm doing that. But
Mm,
you can't just stop. You can't say, "Oh, I've made it this far. I'm good to go."
sure.
Doesn't matter what you do, improve on it.
Hmm.
Yes, have your entertainment, but that also needs to be limited because it
Absolutely.
tricks your brain.
Hmm.
Um,
Everything in moderation.
I
Yeah.
like to find entertainment in doing things, building things, improving things, fixing things. I tore apart my grill to bust
Hmm.
the rust off and repaint it.
Yeah.
A lot of people would
I
be like,
get
"Oh,
that, by the way.
I'm just gonna let it sit until it rots in the ground, and I'll buy a new one." I can afford to buy a new one, or maybe
When
some
I
people
have
can't.
my three pillars decent and I'm actively working on keeping them in a good place, I find it brings back an almost childlike appreciation for learning and doing new things. It's such an interesting thing because I find myself I don't isolate. When I play games, it's like I get an hour here and there. You know what I mean? Then I feel, yeah, I'm
That's good.
healthy,
That's a
right?
respectable amount. Yeah.
Yeah, because I enjoy being a part of the world again,
Hmm.
and I think that's why I think a lot of people fall into things like addiction and isolation, depression, due to not having those three pillars in a good place. And then
Our
because of it, right, it just makes them worse and worse and worse.
Yeah,
You
our
fall
brains and
further and
bodies are
further
designed
behind.
to do more than that.
Yeah.
And when you basically neglect um, what a human is
Mm.
to sit and stare at a screen
Oh
or
yeah.
whatever, it it's it can set you down a path that progresses to harder things.
Oh, oh,
You,
big
you
time.
watch
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
watch TV. Yeah, man. I normally watch TV 4 hours a day. Now I'm gonna do in bed. I'm a little tired today. Well, you're tired because you've been sitting for
Yeah,
four
yeah.
hours a day.
Hmm.
Um, Now I'm not saying everybody's like this, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, you got to set these goals, and if you've achieved a goal, you got to set a new one. You,
Hmm.
you, there is no stopping.
Yeah.
My goal was to give every ounce of me that I can, within reason, of course,
Hmm.
to the development of my daughter.
Mm.
So
How old's your daughter?
she's 3.5.
If you're okay, 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's your
So
first child.
yeah, I
Congrats, my friend.
teach her everything. Everything. I look at something
Mm.
that I know I haven't had a conversation with her about.
Mm.
We talk about it. Do you know what this is? Sometimes she'll make something up or whatever, but then I tell her what it is. Just
Mm.
simple things here in the household. Go outside, do the same thing. You see that bug? You know what that's called? You be
Hmm.
parents need to be involved. It's not enough to have the goal of, yeah, I want to raise a family. That's nothing. Dogs, the wild animals raise families. And
Mm.
then those wild animals go out and do wild animal things. You need to do more than raise a living creature. You need
Yeah.
to raise that living creature to be, at a minimum, you or better. You should
Mm.
at least want your child to be better, really. That's,
I agree. Oh, we all should.
um,
Every person should, and it's as a father, and you'll probably understand this more as you go. It's the greatest gift you could ever possibly have is to know that your child will have learned from your mistakes and your errors and your guidance and your help, right? To be that better version of you in a way,
yeah.
I think about that in my own father, right? My father, I think, is he's the man who truly taught me honor, justice, right and wrong, and I think of myself as trying to do a better job if I can than him. Like it's an essential thing. I have a phrase. I don't know if it's a phrase, but I talk to my child about that. My son, I'd say, because he's a typical young man, wants to figure it all out himself. I try to tell him, take my wisdom, take my knowledge, take what I've learned, and take it in enough so that it makes sense to you. Then do whatever you want with it after that. Make your own version. Be better than me, if you will, because it's the greatest gift that you could give me as a father, is to know that, you're a better man than I was, in the healthiest possible ways, I should say. And we're going to wrap this up in just a minute. I want to go back to one thing you said earlier, though. The need to have conversations smaller in the households. I think we could have some really great discussions on that in the future, because it's something I feel very strongly about. I think that's where we've gone wrong. Well, I think that's why politicians are so able to lie to our faces, right? Still get elected and then get elected again, right? There is something wrong with people, and I believe it starts in our homes. The ability to talk through difficult things. I want to know if when you tell your voter base is like, oh yeah, if you vote for me, I'm gonna put all this money in stem cell research, and I'm gonna save you from this one thing, and then you get elected, and you're like, I'm not interested. You should be going home, and your mother and your father should rip you a new asshole. You should be considering skipping Christmas and all future events for the year with your family, because you have shamed them so terribly in your actions as a leader of your as a public leader. Is some version of that I think we need. That version that says, I'm going to do the right thing, A, because I know it's right, but B, because the people that helped me, instill those values in me, they're going to remind me when I have lost them. And so, yeah, just a final thought from me right there. But yeah, I just want to say this has been great today, Robert. I've really enjoyed our talk. I think it's been a fantastic first talk. I look forward to doing more with you, my friend. And if you have any final thoughts, you get it.
Okay. Final thoughts are really, before you get disappointed with society, look inside first. Look at your household. Look in your immediate vicinity, because that's where society comes from. It comes from the generations being raised, and look at your child. See if your child is on track to be the person that you wish your politicians were. That's it. Simple.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great stuff. And make sure the leaders that you elect are ones that at least vaguely represent your values, at least the most important ones.
Yeah.
That'll be my final thought.
Yeah,
right?
That's a good one if we're talking about that, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, Robert, thank you for your time. And thank you, all of you who have watched our show. We'll see you next time. Love People Enough.
Thank you.
Hey, everyone. This is Micah from Love People Enough. Please consider signing up for our Patreon so we can continue to bring you hard-hitting episodes and grow our channel to reach the widest audience possible. Link below in the description.